Hi, this is Neil from UseMyFrame.com. And have you ever wondered who makes the darkest polarized lenses? I know it's something I hear quite often. Sometimes we get customers that ask, can we tint a polarized lens? Because they want it to be as dark as possible. There are some guidelines as to how dark we can actually get them. They still have to be able to distinguish between the red, yellow, and green street lights. So obviously we can't make them into welder's glasses, but it is good to know who makes the darkest pair of polarized lenses and maybe even some of the polarized lenses you use. How do they rate? How dark are they? So in this video, that's what I'm going to set to determine to find out who makes the darkest polarized lenses. All the lenses that I'm going to use were all surfaced in-house. That way, even though some of the manufacturers do make finish lenses polarized, I want it to be as fair and as even across the board as possible. So some of them might, their finish lenses might be a little thicker than others, even though it probably won't make much of a difference. I just figured to level the playing field, everything's been surfaced to the same thickness, the same way for all the lenses. So it took a little more time to do, but I think we'll end up with a much more accurate outcome. So let's get into it and let's see how they rate. Here we go. So before we begin, this is the machine I'll be using to check these polarized lenses. This is a UV slash visible light meter from OptiSource, and it's very reliable, very consistent, and the nice thing is that it's very quick. So here I have all of the polarized lenses lined up. We got 3 from KBco, 1 from Shamir, Essilor, younger, new polarized, Seiko, and then 2 from Visionese. I made a list of each one. These ones from KBco, they may only be different in the diameter of the lenses, so I just included them anyway, just in case. There are different barcodes, which of course there would be if the diameters are different, but I also kept the boxes here, so if they look familiar in your lab, you'll be able to know exactly which one that you use, and maybe you never got around to testing these to see how they go, but I thought it'd be kind of a fun experiment. So let's go. We're gonna go with the very first one. This one's by Shamir. Put that in there. %. So I'm gonna make a note of that. 21. And there will always be a percent or two fluctuation, but overall this, I'm doing the same lens here just so you can see, it does give pretty good consistent results. 21 exactly again, right? And that's what we did. So 21 for Shamir. Remember, the lower the number, the darker it's going to be, because it means this is measuring how much light is going through. So there's nothing in between the sensor, so 100% of the light's going through. We put a lens in there, of course, it's going to lower that number. Even a clear lens will actually lower that number. Okay, so that was Shamir. We're going to do this barcode of an KBco Xperio lens. By the way, all of these were surfaced to a 4-base lens too. That was something else that I forgot to mention in the beginning, but helps level the playing field. All of them being a 4-base, finish lenses can vary too, So, okay, for our first KBco, we got the same thing, 21. hard to write on this angle. This next KBco, and I'm zooming in close just so you can see the barcode and the packaging. 21. This is the 81 millimeter right here. Oops. So, all right, so far we're pretty consistent, all of them being 21. The last KBco has some special markings on there to make it easy to line up when you have those spheres, which is nice. I like when companies do that instead of just putting the little notches on the end, because those will usually get cribbed off. So 21, pretty consistent. Shamir and KBco all were 21, and I actually didn't arrange this in a particular order, so it just kind of happened. They all match. Well, they all match. Well, let's keep going. Essilor. They call this their airwear. All these lenses are polycarbonate. Essilor, just a little bit darker. Just a little bit. So we're at 19 for Essilor. And I'll see if I can find a way of putting a list of what all each of these measure out near the end of this video, just so you can see how they compare quickly. Next up is Younger Optics, the new Polar, very popular. They even make them in a gradient, which is pretty awesome, pretty popular. Let's see what these measure. So also a 19 for Younger. So Younger and Essilor are tied. Pretty cool. So someone looking for the darkest right now, Younger and Essilor have the darkest. Seiko. Let's take a look at this one. Here is the barcode. And let's see how it measures. Oh, lost my calibration here. So that will reset from time to time. You just have to hit the little button to recalibrate it. All right, this is Seiko. Seiko's coming in at 18. Next up is Visionese Polarized. Sometimes you'll also see them labeled as SunRx. That's how we have it in our database using Innovations. So let's see what these measure. The SunRx by Visionese. 17. And lastly, also by Visionese, are their copper tone. So I've seen it fluctuating between 11 and 12%. We'll just call it 12%. But either way, that's still, by far, that's the darkest, is the Visionese copper tone. Good gray color. I guess I could hold those up just so you can kind of compare how they look. Sometimes polarized lenses, even though you intend them to be gray, they end up having a blue or purplish tint to them, which can really irritate some customers. So that's always something to keep an eye out for. Just keep going in the backwards in the order I took them. So leave me a comment, which is your polarized lens of choice, your customer's been pretty happy with it. I find it, you ever get any complaints about them not being dark enough or maybe even too dark, right? So that concludes this test. I hope you find it helpful. Grab this tray. Be sure to subscribe, as I did this same exact thing for transitions. We're going to test these. We're going to test the light transmittance levels of all the different transitions by all the main companies. So be sure to subscribe if that's something you're interested in. All of these, it should go without saying, have 100%, if we test it, have 100% UVA and UVB blocking. They are polarized lenses, so that's sort of a gimme. That shouldn't come off as any surprise. So I just grabbed this one, and I've already tested this. It doesn't matter which one you grab. They all block 100%. You can just spot check just in case if you want to see how you test for that. Maybe it's something you haven't had time to do, but maybe we're always interested in. So yeah, they all block the UV light, so 100%. So okay, I think that's it. I think that concludes this one. Don't forget, I'll have a transitions video coming up comparing them. You got any suggestions for that one? It's going to be a little more complicated, a little more tricky, because we have to time their darkening subject to the same amount of light, test them at the same amount of time, exposure to the UV light, and so on. So any suggestions, let me know. Other than that, hey, I hope you found the video helpful. Thanks for watching.